today. Talk about resentments. It's a big one for me. Don't know if you feel the same. Hopefully, you identify a little bit with that if you're watching this video. But what I find so interesting is that I never knew how much they really affected me until I really got into my recovery and I really started looking at these things. And they're really difficult to me. For me, they're personally some of the most challenging things that I personally have to deal with. And I found something very interesting recently. I have a book here I wanted to read a little bit from. It's called The Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. And she was giving a talk on this book and she mentioned resentments, and my ears perk up because that's something that is something I'm always looking at and trying to learn more about and understand. So when these things come up for me, I have some background, some tools, some things I can use, right? So she gives a really great definition here. I just want to read it. So resentment is the feeling of frustration, judgment, anger, better than, and or hidden envy related to perceived unfairness or injustice. It's an emotion that we often experience when we fail to set boundaries or ask for what we need, or when expectations let us down because they were based on things we can't control, like what other people think, what they feel, or how they're going to react. And I just found that definition so interesting because I just think this resentment is something bad and horrible, and I need to get rid of it, and that's it. I never really looked deeper into what it could be. And she was interviewing someone on her podcast one time, and she said to the person, I'll find his name for you, Mark Brackett, and she said to him, I've got a question for you, a personal question. Is resentment part of the anger family? And he said, no, resentment is part of envy. And I never ever looked at resentment as envy, ever. I think back to when I was younger and the people that hurt me, the people that failed me, the people that didn't do whatever it was because I was a child and I needed to be cared for. And I wasn't getting the kind of care that I thought I needed. So I felt resentments and I carried those resentments with me for a very long time, very long time. And it was really hard. It stopped me from doing so many different kinds of things because I was just so full of what I thought was anger. I really thought resentments were anger. And I really feel like now that I'm looking at it from the lens of envy, I was really envious of others who had all these things that I didn't. They had a different kind of family situation. Maybe they had more money than me. Maybe they had a nicer house, or they, I don't know, fill in the blank, whatever. They had a bigger pool. They had this and that, whatever it was, right? Um, those are the people I tended to think about. And I thought about what they had in their lives. And I would look at my life and I would say, oh, you people, whoever it was in the family, didn't do this and you didn't do that. And why? And it was really, I was envious of what they had. I really was. And I'm still to this day working with that kind of stuff because I do feel envy for a lot of other people a lot of the time. It's really something I never thought I struggled with. I really thought of my issues were anger, resentment, when really there's a good portion of it that was envy. That I was really just envious of other people and of what they had, and of things I can't control. Resentments come up when I can't control something, like she says in this definition. And as a child, there's very little that you can control. You're bound to whatever environment you're in because you're a child. There's nothing much you can do. But once you get to be older and you can start to control situations, resentment can still come up, right? Because I want things to be a certain way and they're not. And what do I do with that? So I have to really, personally, I really have to look at this stuff. So I'm hoping some of this might have resonated with you. And whenever I think about these things, I have to also remember that I can only control my attitude and my reaction to life. That's really the only things I can control. I can't control anybody else. I can't make people do anything. And as someone who struggles with a lot of this stuff, it can be very hard for me to even say that and to attempt to live like that. It can be very difficult. So these resentments are very tricky. Um, and also, I have to remember a lot of the time too that feelings are not facts. I may feel like it's this thing, but I could be perceiving it totally incorrectly. I may not have all the information. There may be things I'm just not aware of at that time because I'm just not thinking about it. So I take a look at my feelings when I'm feeling about stuff too, and really try to look at, where is this really coming from? And really try to dig into it a little bit more. And then also, these things pass, right? The good stuff and the bad stuff, it all passes. Life goes and goes and goes. And like I said before about the control, if I'm having a positive attitude, let's say one day, the things that come and go through life, whether they're good or bad, it's not as difficult to deal with. But when I'm having a more like a tougher day, it's harder for me maybe to see some of that good stuff and I'm stuck in all that bad. So this, all of this stuff that I'm talking about is very challenging. It takes a lot of time to sometimes work through some of this stuff depending upon what it is. But it's something that really can help you a lot, can also help you with recovering from many different kinds of things. And it just improves the outlook of your life. And also know that you're not alone. You are not alone in this. If you're struggling with resentment or anything that I've talked about, you are not alone. And that's one of the most important things that I heard when I was looking at all this stuff, is that other people feel this way too. So I would invite you now, if you care to, maybe you can close the eyes a little bit if you like, if that's comfortable. If not, you can keep the eyes open, just gazing softly down. Just beginning to notice the breath a little bit. And know that I'm going to activate a little bit of healing for you here. So hopefully that will come through for you. And just starting to notice the breath. You can place a hand on the belly and the heart if you like, or just on the belly, whatever works for you. Just feeling the belly rise and fall as you're breathing. And starting to think about this resentment. When you think about it, notice if any type of image comes to mind. And if anything is not feeling right now, feel free to stop this whenever you like. But if you can try to picture an image of what this resentment might look like, it may be a shape, or maybe it has a color, texture of some sort. But try to visualize something that represents whatever resentments you may have right now. Once you have it in your mind, just try to imagine it dissolving. Maybe some water gets poured down on it and it just starts to melt away, or whatever imagery you'd like to use to see this thing just dissolve in front of you. And it dissolves and it melts away. This falls away from you, even just for a brief second. And it's gone. It's gone. For this moment, it's gone. So when you're ready, you can come back to your space. can open the eyes if they were closed. Take the hands down if you had them on your chest or your belly. And just thinking about that image of it just fading away, even if just for a brief second. And I invite you to take some time after you're done watching this, if you'd like to journal about your experience with this, any thoughts you might have, any feelings that came up, anything that you need to get out. You could also call somebody, talk to somebody about it. You can send me a message if you like. We could talk more. I'd love to speak to you. So I hope this helped a little bit. I hope I got to share a little bit of information with you. And I look forward to speaking with you. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me at my website, www.peacewecrave. And I look so forward to talking with you. Maybe I'll see you sometime in a class or a session. And thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.